Ah. Presented by PrizePicks. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 and use the promo code Welcome to Light Years. Andy, my man.
Great.
You know, yeah, did you say life's great? I think that kind of sums it up right now. I just we just watched the Andre Iguodala retirement ceremony. I'm not an emotional guy. At least not to the way maybe you are or some other people, but it got me. It got me. The Warriors are rolling. Vibes are high. It feels sustainable. And you know what? You know what's funny? It's like they blow the Mavericks out and it all kind of pales in comparison because I'm just sitting here in like full nostalgia mode. Like the OG, the godfather of this whole thing. Like how many emotions have we gone through over the last few years where we're just like, man, these fucks are just gonna ruin everything. They're gonna fade into the sunset, doing 2 timelines, wasting all our time, and and all that stuff. And then you bring a moment like this, and it just reminds me how special all this is.
Well, you bring a moment like this at a time like this, I think is perfect. When they planned this thing out, I don't know exactly when it was planned out, but it certainly wasn't planned out after the trade for Jimmy Butler. Like this thing was for sure before. In my head, like the cynic version of me is like thinking like, man, did they do this because they were looking at this team and saying like, you know?
I don't know about that. I'm looking at it. I didn't see a formal announcement of the date until
really?
after
you think this
the
was
trade.
Recent? Oh, you really? You think this was wow?
I think Andre said, "You're not retiring my jersey until you get my boy some help out there.
Until the vibes are better." Wow.
I'm not about to help you sell tickets to watch Steph get quadruple teamed and blown out by 50.
Yep. That's what was happening before the Jimmy trade was coming along. So hey, dude, you might be right. Maybe that's another way of Andre, who was a master manipulator, a master negotiator. We'll go through some of our favorite Andre memories, but his biggest thing was always like, man, like you got to pay me. Remember his contract when he went and gets that contract with the Kings? He's like, you got to pay me. So maybe, hey, you're right. Maybe he was like, hey, I'm not doing a jersey retirement just so you guys can do some forever Warriors type of shit. Like we're going to make this thing worth doing. And man, Sam, like that was perfect, right? The vibes after that game was perfect to go along with the entire ceremony.
It was, it made me, I got a little choked up. It made me just like think bigger picture. You get so like locked into the minutia of like, oh, they suck or oh, they're good again. And like you live in day to day and you just really just want kind of a reason to believe, a reason to watch the next game, a reason to believe that this team is going to be in it. And this ceremony, like it made me reflect kind of on this entire journey. And like, let's be real. None of this happens without Andre. None of it does, I call him the unsung hero of the dynasty. Obviously he has the finals MVP, so he's not totally unsung, but I do think his basketball game in general was underrated for his entire career because he doesn't put up flashy numbers for the most part. And I mean, they talked about it today and you and I know it and the listeners know it, but it's like he was the first free agent who ever chose the Warriors in my lifetime as like their primary, like not like, oh, I'll sign because, you threw me a bunch of money, but like, I want to go here, and it was because he saw the Steph Clay thing before other people saw it. And, this team probably splinters like 8 times between 2015 and 2020 without Andre's leadership. Also, like making it just a personal thing undersells him. He's one of the greatest defenders of all time. He's objectively a winning player. Like every team he's been on wins. He doesn't score 25 points per game, but I would argue 99% of players who score 20 plus points a game are less impactful than him.
100,
Do less like we spent so much time talking about Zach LaVine, and I like Zach, don't get me wrong, but like I don't know, he's going to score 25 points per game for his entire career and will not be the determining force in whether his team wins or loses. You know, Andre doesn't. You get Andre on your team will defend, your team will play smart, and they will win. And if you pair him with a guy like Steph, then they will win at a generational level.
I always talk about how Draymond is one of the more underrated players of this dynasty run because Steph and then Clay gets all the 3-point love and all that stuff. But Draymond is perpetually like, yeah, he gets ejected. He's cost them a title here. He's had tips here. He's had ejections there. And so people don't think of him as this great X factor elite defender. Andre is just another version of that. And I think even more underrated, even though he has the finals MVP. I think a lot of that stuff that's happened in the last 3 years are this team choking in crunch time, this team not being able to defend when it matters, this team kind of just losing their mind, turning the ball over. That stuff I think is directly because of Andre Iguodala not being there. That is the watching it unfold in real time because as great. And now, obviously, if you put 2015 Steph and Draymond onto the 2023 version of the Warriors, okay, they don't lose. But the point I think is that they've always needed that version of someone. And Steph and Steve really talked about it. It's like they really needed someone to calm them the fuck down because of the style that they play is insane. The style that they still play is insane. And you need someone to essentially, I think the what he's trying to
is that Jimmy Butler's music?
That really I mean, it really is. And I think the value of Andre Iguodala, nobody can see that outside of, they're winning a lot of games. But it's like people go, Steph is going to make 10 threes. But it's like, nah, like the great part of this is Andre is going to get the ball and he won't turn over. He'll make the right pass. That's number one. Number two, he's also going to make life hard on LeBron James. He's going to make life hard on Kevin Durant. Nobody else on the team could do that. And nobody thinks about that stuff. It's the value of Andre.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. It's like people think just Steph and Clay when it comes to playing at a crazy pace and shooting. But Draymond, I mean, nobody is quicker taking the ball off the rebound and getting up court than him. Yep. And with that, it comes some like turnovers. Like they'll put 20 points on you in 2 minutes. They might also give the other team 5 turnovers. And that's, to your point, that was always kind of the value of Andre. It was always, okay, we turned it over 2 times in a row. Andre's going to take control of the offense, slow this down. Let's get a couple boring possessions. But let's stop this. We just tricked away a 15-point lead to 8. Let's not make it 15-0, Yep. And that's really who they've been in kind of the post-Andre years until they got Jimmy here, which is explosive, but like, up, down, right? Like that sort of thing. It's, man, I am, how do I put it? It's just, it got me feeling things. Cause like, do you see how Andre ended the whole thing? He goes, Steph,
full circle.
I think you know who you are. I also don't think you really know who you are, which is actually kind of a perfect way to sum up Steph. This is the beginning of the Steph Curry celebration.
That was a ball.
Which is, yeah, but it's like he's kind of like he's the first of that team to retire. They're all going to eventually retire over the next 5 years. And hopefully it's closer to 5 and less like it's closer to 5 years and less like 0 years, right? It's going to be a 1-by-1. And to me, the point he was making was a very obvious one, which was we all played a very important role in this, and they all did. And none of it happens without Andre. None of it happens without Steve Kerr. None of it happens without Draymond. You can keep going the line. But truly, none of it fucking matters without Steph. None of it happens on any level without him. And that was kind of, I don't know. It's cool. It's just cool to watch.
That line really, I think, nailed down the difference between Steph in this generation versus what I think we'll see ever in sports is he was here when the times were rough. He was here when they got Andre, right? Or they had, let's even go backwards a little bit. They had their heartbreak against the Clippers, and then the Spurs, and then the Clippers. And then they go get Andre, and then they had the highs, winning a championship, 73 wins, then the lows, they lose 3-1, then the highs, then the lows, then the highs again. And Steph was here through all of that. Andre, Clay, Draymond, all these guys. And when Andre said that line, it made me think of that because we're never going to see that happen ever again, ever in sports, at least in the NBA. And so, last of a dying breed of a generation, I think is what I thought about when Andre said that. Because let me tell you something, that's not how LeBron's retirement ceremony is going to go. He's going to get it retired at like 4 different places, but it's not going to hit like this, though. You know, it's not going to hit like
it's going to be a lot of respect him or like that sort of thing. And he deserves it because he's one of the 5 best players to ever play the game. Maybe one of the 2 or 3 best, you know, he is, but like, it's not, he
doesn't
didn't
hit
build
like
a
this.
team.
Nope. No, like ask Laker fans, right? Like it doesn't hit like he'll never be Kobe, and LeBron's better than Kobe. But he'll never be Kobe, right? Like he'll
not
just
to
never
them.
be
You won't
that
mean
guy,
what Kobe means to them. Yeah.
And that's the difference, I think, for Warriors fans. I mean, Steph, it could have been 3, and it would have been the same thing, but it's 4. And I mean, we're gonna talk about the game soon. We're talking about the Warriors. It could be 5, right? So
you're a Niners fan. You see the way Jerry Rice is just beloved. Anyone who is on the Dynasty Niners, if they go to those games, Jerry Rice hasn't worn a Niner jersey in 25 years, maybe 30 at this point. You know, Steve Young goes out there, and you go down the line with like even some of the smaller players, like the Brett Jones, George Seifert, the coach. Like I don't need to go through it, but it's like that team was so dynastic that it does not matter. They walk into the building, it means something to the fans of that team 25 plus years later. And I really think that's kind of what we're seeing. Like Andre will walk into Chase Center or whatever future, you know, mega arena Joe Lacob builds next.
Right.
And he will be beloved because he will be like, that was a guy on our golden years teams, you know, like our best years, right? That sort of thing, right? And that's kind of, and obviously Steph will have that more than anyone, but like Draymond will have that. Clay will have that. Even when we see like guys like Mo Spates, you know, you see Mo Spates there. Well, it's like a bit part. Like he's
my guy.
He's solid shape. Yeah, to hold it together.
By the way, legend, Mo Spates. I don't even, where does he even live now? Is he even still in the Bay? But no, you're right. Like all these guys, it hits a little different. Actually, it hits a lot different. It hits a lot different. I think when you see stuff like this. By the way, in an arena that, you know, I think they always say AT&T Park is the park that Barry Bonds built. Like Chase Center is the arena that Steph built. Saw the other day that the Warriors are worth $9.5 billion now. Like the second highest team was like
Joe's a tough negotiator.
It's insane. That's insane.
No, but you are right. It is the house that Steph built. Does everything
is probably better?
Yeah. I mean, everything's built off the back of this team, and this entire team's built off the back of Steph. So everything goes back to that same point. But you know, I stand by my point. Like you're gonna see Draymond or Andre at Warrior games in 20 years, and they're going to be treated like royalty because of what they meant to your iconic teams. And I'll end it with this. Bob Myers said he doesn't think there's a higher honor than getting your jersey retired by a team. I think I agree with him. I think I'd rather be the guy who's beloved in one community as a god than the LeBron. You are globally loved, but you don't really have a home.
Right. I think that's the difference between like, I think it comes down to, it's going to be the difference between Steph and how people talk about Steph and LeBron. It's going to be interesting. The way that it's like, it's just a guy that's going to be in 3-4 different places, and versus a guy like Steph that was here right from the beginning. And it's fascinating, and I think you don't get the same amount of true love from your teammates than someone like Andre. I think Andre like genuinely loves Steph, like genuinely love him. versus like, hey, we just say that, like, you gotta, like, versus kind of the stuff that you see in media where it's like, oh, you gotta respect LeBron, you gotta love this guy. It's like, no, the way Andre talks about Steph, it's like you see it, he genuinely is all in on him. So one of the best. I didn't think it was gonna be like a whole thing, honestly. When I saw Andre retirement, I thought it was gonna be like whatever, but unbelievable.
We should, you know what? I blame us. We should have known it was going to be over the top. When they opened Chase Center with the dancing cranes, like, you should have known this shit was going to be over the top. They're never doing anything understated as a franchise ever again.
No. Shout out to Joe Lacob. Shout out to the Warriors who you got to give them that though, Sam. If they're going to do something, they're going to go 200%. No bullshit. The Giants could learn something or two from those guys. Shout out to them. Let's do a read. I will do one. Light Years Podcast. We're brought to you by, as you all know, PrizePicks. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. Use promo code Light Years. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, best place to get real money sports action. PrizePicks, best way to win real money this basketball season. We got like 25 games left, man. Get after it. I put in like a 7-player parlay yesterday. Close. One away. Don't be like me. Do like a 3-player one. Make it so that they got these features where you make it so that if you hit 2, you still get paid out. It's the beauty of PrizePicks. PrizePicks also got weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download the app today. Use code LIGHTYEARS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly when you play your first $5. PrizePicks. Run your game.
Oh, Andy, you know, you and I getting older, and I think about this all the time. Like, what truly actually makes you feel good about yourself? And for me, honestly, it's like just feeling comfortable in my clothes. And I would say the number one thing that actually this changes when you get closer to 40 than when you're 20. Good pair of underwear really changes my mood. You know, you're young, you go buy the cheapest shit you can get at like Target or Walmart because you're like, I don't have to spend money on underwear, you know? And sometimes it's a hit, and sometimes that shit like gives you a wedgie or is uncomfortable. Like I'm a boxer brief guy. I'm assuming I'm assuming most of our listeners are boxer brief guys, to be honest. But like the feel of when you have to go to the underwear drawer and get that pair that you know is just a little tight in the wrong spot, it sucks, right? And so as I've got older, I've kind of decided what really matters to me more. And it's like just getting quality shit that makes me feel good. And guys, I'm here to tell you about Skims. So Skims really hits like the perfect cross section of soft cotton and elastic. Like, it's not too silky that it doesn't feel like underwear, but it's not like too rigidly cotton that you're like, it's give me a wedgie, this sort of thing, that sort of thing. So it really hits the perfect thing. Like, I understand why they're all having meet offs because that shit fits perfect. So guys, I'm not joking with you. The best part about this is I'm offering you a deal so you can try it at a good price. See if you like it. See if you get addicted like me and Andy and buy 20 pairs on top of it. So you never have to go back to those cheap underwears. Guys, shop Skims men's at skims.com. Let us know. And if you guys use the code podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu, you will get a discount. Skims, the official underwear sponsor of the NBA, the WNBA, USA Basketball, Steph Curry, Andre Iguodala, all those things. Guys, really simple. Shop Skims at skims.com/lightyears and select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu.
People that see the smile on my face think I'm joking. I got hella Skims, bro. I bought hella Skims. Like, not even just a promotion thing.
Dude, they're super commercial. They're super comfortable. They're comfortable. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I was being serious when I'm saying this. It's like, bro, I just want shit that doesn't put me in a bad mood. I have enough problems. I have to chase a toddler around all day. I have a job. I do podcasts. I never sleep as much as I want to.
That's fact.
The last thing I need is a fucking wedgie or uncomfortable underwear. Oh. It's like worth the splurge. I'm telling you right
Shout
now.
out Skims. Shout out Skims. Shout out Kim Kardashian.
She's putting together good products.
Special.
You know who else is putting together a good product?
Mm.
Golden State Warriors.
Dude, that is well done. That's well done.
5-1 in the Jimmy Buckets era. And the ease at which they're winning, dude. What was the final score in today's game? Like the last two games, I couldn't even tell you the final score off the top of my head because in my head, I'm 3-quarter blowout. That's all that matters, right? Like who gives a fuck? The final score is 126-102. But like, let's be honest, they were blowing them out by more points than that. The Jimmy Butler effect. How are you feeling?
So we were talking about this during the post game, and Steve gave us the answer when they first got Jimmy, and I was laughing a little bit because he was like, "Oh, it reminds me of Andre Iguodala," and we're like, "Dude, it's really the same player." I mean, like Jimmy's a way better offensive player, and Jimmy doesn't play that much defense as much anymore. And Steve's right because Steve is one of the best coaches of all time, and he's right. And his impact on this team has made life obviously easier for players, but it allows them to just not fall apart, when times get tricky, which is what we've seen in the past few years, which when a 20-point lead goes down to 7, instead of the Warriors going and chucking more threes or turning the ball over, now it's very much a, hey, let's get Jimmy to set a screen, or let's run that split action with Jimmy so that he can draw a foul or make a mid-range layup or a mid-range jumper. And he doesn't turn the ball over. And so to answer the question of like, what do they look like right now? Dude, I don't remember the last time the Warriors looked this good, blowing people out before the fourth quarter. This is back-to-back games now that they've done it. The last time I think the Warriors looked this good, I'll just be honest with you, was 2022 when they got off to that crazy 18-2 run. And you got to remember in that 18-2 run after that, most games were actually pretty close because guys got hurt and stuff like that. It wasn't until the end of the season guys got healthy and they turned it around. But I don't really remember the last time they looked this good where Steph had 30 points in 3 quarters, 29 minutes, and he said, I'm good. Right? Truly, like this is the type of style of basketball they were playing when they won, when they were in that 4 NBA finals in a row type stuff. So yeah. This is great. Yeah, this one is awesome. This comment.
From Cody in the chat, he goes, Jimmy Butler is the Michael Jordan of Andre Iguodala's. And I don't know if I fully agree with that, but it's like, let's be real. They don't have prime Klay Thompson. When they had prime Klay, they didn't necessarily need Andre to be a scorer. And who knows how much more scoring he could have given them. They don't have prime Klay anymore. So they need the guy who's settling them down to be a little more of a, like a 20-point per game scoring threat. And that's why this is such a good fit. He's getting Moody going. He's getting Pods going. And those guys are playing really good ball. But unlike the dynasty years when it was like, when the game matters, the ball is going to 30 or 11. Now it's okay. When the game matters, it's going to 30 or 20 or 10. I'm still used to him not being right 10, but you know what I'm saying? It's going to Jimmy. He's that guy who settles them down. But I also believe he's that guy who can get a key bucket when you need it with this team. And he really just kind of addresses every hole this roster had. It's pretty cool to watch how quick it's happened too. Because like I'm watching this team, and I don't know where you feel, Andy, but like I don't know that I'm afraid of any teams.
Oh.
There's like a couple teams where I'm like, okay, that's a rough matchup, and I don't know how they'll match up, how it'll go with those guys. But I feel like they match up well with most of the teams they have to go through, and at worst, they have a realistic chance against the teams I think they have a rougher matchup with. Like I think Denver can be a rough matchup because of Jokic, but I think they have enough that they can make it a battle. Whereas like before I was like, yeah, they're going to lose in the play.
Here's what I think defensively is what and I'm agreeing with you on the they're a bad matchup for these teams because of this. The stuff that they lost, which is an elite, not a very, very good point of attack defender like Wiggins, doesn't matter as much when you're playing the best teams in the NBA. You're most likely not going to be able to guard Luka Doncic. You're most likely not going to be able to guard SGA. You're most likely not going to be able to guard Nikola Jokic, all these guys that are amazing one-on-one players. What they instead got is this great team defense now that I think matters more than just individually going out there and say, well, tonight we're going to hold Kyrie to 24 points instead of 29. You watch the way that they play defense tonight, Sam. They're turning the ball over, as in like they're turning other teams over consistently, because Draymond and Jimmy, if they get enough on-ball defense, which right now they're getting enough from Moses Moody and Podziemski, they're getting just enough for them on point of attack, that those guys are hounds on the back end, and they're jumping into passing lanes versus when you can just, okay, well, if Wiggins so great on defense, we can just go attack someone else, right? Like, that's what they were doing. And then you don't have the smart enough help defense to actually help anything on the back end. That all changed when Jimmy Butler got here. You're able to elevate guys like Moody and then Podziemski, who's just playing better than he was before. So net, like, yeah, offense, they get better. I think that's the obvious shit, but everyone saw so focused on defense. They got better there too.
Yeah. I was talking about this with Tommy on Friday night. In a perfect world, you have Wiggins and Butler, so you have a good point of attack defender and your nails on defense. Well, if that's the case, you're the 2015 Warriors. That's what you are, because then you had Clay on ball and Andre and Draymond just destroying everything behind him on the backside, that sort of thing. So if you're stuck in a position like which one would you prefer, I don't think it's a question. I think in the modern NBA, I'd rather be able to take everyone away and live with the fact that Shea might score 45. I'd rather you play the Thunder and okay, Shea gets to his shots and Moses Moody, it's kind of he's kind of the sacrificial lamb, He's like follow him around, don't look good. But what's not happening is Lou Dort going off, Jalen Williams going off. Like all these guys look awful because it's all taken away. That's better than the reverse, which is what we've seen, which is like Wiggins probably does a better job than any of these guys one-on-one. But what's the Fitz thing? It's like, I can't believe this guy's hitting threes. It's like, well, yes, if no one's going to rotate to him and he has his feet set, he's going to hit them. So it's not sexy. It doesn't like get the highlight plays, but it matters to winning. These type of players continually win. Like, that's basketball right there. No one's gonna put a highlight reel of the amount of plays Andre blew up without having to ever touch the ball on the backside. They're gonna see the highlight, which is Warriors going to transition or Clay and Steph hitting the three off of that. So yeah, Jimmy's a game changer in so many ways for this team.
And I think consistent to that is how smart he is. And we haven't mentioned that. I think consistent to the way you talk about Andre Iguodala is what I was trying to say. Is he's just as smart as Draymond and as smart as Steph, and he's as smart as those guys, but in a different way. He's as smart as those guys in the Andre way. Steph and Draymond are smart because they can play like for lack of a better term, like they can play like crackheads and it will work because they're just so smart. They're so fast. They know each other so well. But Jimmy's not like that. Jimmy's so smart because he plays a very controlled type of basketball, same way that Andre did. And we talked about it offensively earlier, but defensively, like that's the way he does it. Yeah, like, dude, does he like move as much as well as he does before that? No, but half the battle with defense is IQ. Like, I think like, unless you're playing the best offensive players in the world, because like with offense, it's different. Like, you do need a certain level of skill. It doesn't matter if you share the ball enough. You can't break down a guy. Nothing matters. But like on defense, if you are smart enough, like, look, I like, to me, it's like I'm looking at Pods and Moody defend. Neither guy are super quick or super athletic or super long, but you put those guys in a scenario where they're both, you tell them to do 2-3 things, and that's what Clay was really good at, except Clay was massive and was super quick, so he was really good.
Quicker, yeah.
But with Pods and Moody, it's like those guys are smart, man. Like, if you put them in a scheme that allows them to defend to their strengths, and then you've got great guys behind them like Draymond and Jimmy, not saying they're a top 3 defense, but that's like, do you think they're a top 10 defense right now with the current construction of the team?
That's not even a question. Top 10 is in their sleep. The real question is, are they top 5? Are they? Can they get to the, like, who's the best defense in the NBA right now? OKC,
Boston, OKC, OKC.
Yeah, because they have IQ and athletes at every position. Yeah. So can they defend at that level as those guys? And I'm just excited to see them. Like, I don't want to put limits on this team, so I just want to see it more. Like, it's exciting, it's fun. what I was gonna say on that subject, to your point, is do you see Andre? This is an old thing Andre said, but I want to pull it up right now on Jimmy.
Always look back and say, how was Jimmy getting it? Because you always look back and say, how was Jimmy getting it done? He can't shoot threes. He can't go left. Whatever. No, I'm saying whatever they say about Jimmy, he figuring it out. I'm like, I seen him dribble with his right hand left and then pull up for three against Milwaukee this year. It was going crazy. Jimmy he's probably the closest that I've seen to Kobe Bryant with that mentality of just, man, Jimmy will figure out a way for us to win. I've never seen a will like that. I'm like, this dude got a Kobe Bryant will, a will to him to win.
Wow, interesting.
And I think that ties to your IQ point. Like, when I think of Jimmy, you're correct. I do not think of skill. Paul George is more skilled than him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Paul George can do more things with the ball than him. But who would you rather have on the team? And we wanted Paul George in the summer to be clear.
Right.
Andrew Wiggins might be more skilled than Jimmy, to be honest with you. He's certainly a better shooter than Jimmy is. But Jimmy, like, maxes out at, like, the 100th percentile in terms of, like, competitiveness. Like, he has that, like, Draymond, like, he's going to rub you the wrong way at times because he wants to win. And they're just smart. So, like, he'll figure out how to beat you. Even if, like, to Andre's point, he doesn't have a left hand, you know, he can't shoot. And I think that's kind of the fun thing, because I feel like that's always been kind of the formula. Put smart guys who are competitive around Steph. At some point, Steph's going to start cooking, and you're fucked if he starts cooking and they can defend.
So let's go to that point right there. I think Jimmy played for Eric Spoelstra, and that team relies a lot on that dog factor, and I think the high IQ factor, and I think that matters more. Like, does Jimmy Butler have this type of impact for the Houston Rockets? I mean, maybe. I mean, they kind of need a veteran guy, especially offensively. So you could argue that, but I do think the fit is actually perfect. It's not just better than what I think people were thinking that it would be, and there's a lot of people that were thinking it would not be a good fit. But when you put high IQ, you know what I mean? But when you put high IQ guys in Steve Kerr's system, that's what I'm trying to get to. If you put him in Steve Kerr and Steph's system, because they are aligned on what system they want to run, if their high IQ is going to work. So let's go back to your Wiggins point, right? Like, Wiggins is super skilled, especially for a size, drafted number 1 overall, but not necessarily high IQ. So they had to kind of find a way to get him there, right? Put Otto Porter in there, put Andre in there at times. And boom, voila, you win a championship. You know what I mean? I can't believe Steph did the meme during the speech. It was so good. But Jimmy, you don't got to do that, man. You just throw him in there. And what 5-1? That's it.
Yeah.
Throw him in there.
It's not just 5-1. They get better every game, and it feels like the 2015 Warriors. I'm not saying they're as good as them, but, like, you remember in 2015 where you're just like, dude, they're just going to start washing teams. Every game is a third quarter blowout, you know, that sort of thing. It's just, I know what it looks like. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go there. I've watched it. You've watched it. I've watched these guys play 1,000 games in the Steph career. Actually, probably more, to be honest with you. I know what it looks like when they have the right pieces around him. As I said to you last time, I haven't heard about knee tendonitis in a while. You know, like all this stuff. So I love it. And by the way, I love Steph doing the meme, because I think, to him, I don't think he believes that he gets that performance in 2022 out of Wiggins, out of Jordan Poole. You know, he probably gets out Otto Porter. He probably credits Celebrini more. But, like, I don't think those two guys who are, like, they're talented but mercurial, he gets out of them without Andre kind of having foot up ass. And honestly, history's bared that out. They've both played well this year. They haven't played at the level they played at in 22 in terms of, like, winning basketball type of stuff. Right. And I don't know that they will, out of any context, without Andre up their ass, to be honest with you.
I mean, that's we've kind of seen the proof is in the pudding. It's different when it's Draymond yelling at you versus Andre. I think it's just Draymond. I think it could be a little, like, grading. It could be like, all right, man, that's cool. But with Andre, there's a level of, not to say that people don't respect Draymond. It's a level of like, all right, Andre's talking. I think they were basically talking about that during the retirement ceremony.
So. Well, I think Draymond's kind of like what's the expression, like a wartime general. Like you want him out there when shit matters,
right?
But he's not the dude who's putting his arm around you and talking you through what you need to do. And you know, good teams are kind of like that. Like, so you need both. You need someone who's going to kick you in the ass, like emotionally, but also like mentally. Someone who's going to like get you to like untick. And honestly, that was always the thing that made those teams so special. Like all the pieces fit together perfectly. So yeah, I'm gonna go watch some old Warrior highlights tonight. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna be 2015
fucking
Warriors.
forever Warrior bullshit tonight. We're gonna be watching the title video, watching Steve say, "Oh, Andre won Finals MVP. That's fantastic." I've watched it so many times. I know exactly what he says. You know, but
they won 67 games,
and then 73. And they would have won the title again if Steph didn't get fucking slip on some sweat. So I can't even hear anyone argue the alternate on that because we watched a decade of it. You really telling me you think he wouldn't have pulled it off? Like, be realistic, you know? But yeah. There is another aspect to Andre which you guys can do, which is get into better shape. Look. Our sponsors, BodySpec here, have made DEXA scans affordable for all. So what's a DEXA scan? A DEXA scan is a highly accurate way to measure your body's composition. So body fat percentage, lean muscle mass, visceral body fat, like the stuff that the Warriors do, 49ers do, theoretically baseball teams do, although you look at some of their players, I'm not so sure, where it like really tells you if you're in shape, where it's a better measure of your body than standing on the scale. Andy and I both stand on a scale. We see like 205, whatever, something like that. And like, yeah, but like, you know, not all 205 is the same. Not all 202 is the same. Not all 198 is the same. You know, what matters is like, am I in shape or am I not? And that's what a DEXA scan tells you. And what they've done, which is super cool, is they made it affordable. Only $45 as opposed to traditionally $200-$400. Locations in San Francisco and LA and mobile vans that will come to you. Use the promo code LightYears45. Get a DEXA scan, start your fitness journey.
I think Luca's on BodySpec. Let's get him on BodySpec. He's in LA. There's BodySpec trucks in LA. Let's get him on there. Come on. Or I'm
sure he got one done. You know, I'm sure the results hurt his feelings, but sometimes you need to have your feelings hurt to really make a difference. Have you never like got someone to tell you the truth about you? You get a little salty.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, now I'm changing.
That's what Nico did, by the way. Actually, you know what Nico did is they tried to put him on Factor. Brought to you by Lightyears Podcast, Factor. So Luca needs to do is optimize nutrition this year. No, but seriously, Factor, chef-made gourmet meals. They make eating well easy. Their dietitian approved, ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared. Perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto meals based on a randomized controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto. Results will vary depending on diet and exercise. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies. I swear by the smoothies as always. They've got grab and go snacks, more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients that you trust and convenience that cannot be beat. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/lightyears50 off and use code lightyears50 off OFF to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code lightyears50 off at factormeals.com/lightyears50 off to get 50% off free shipping on your first box.
Memphis and Cleveland are playing right now. Are you I haven't asked you this, but since the Warriors have got Jimmy and you've watched 6 games and it's still early sample, but like, are there teams you're still kind of afraid of?
I watched the I watched the Los Angeles Lakers against the Denver Nuggets.
It's still weird to see Luka.
And I know I just made fun of Luka on the BodySpec and Factor segment, but I think the Lakers are the team that is probably the most worrisome. And, you know, part of it also to me is like, Yeah, they lost AD, and that was a huge issue. But the Lakers can now do small ball, which has always been the number one thing that the Warriors can do. And they can now have offensive firepower that probably no other team in the NBA has. They've got 3 guys that are at least 2 guys that are elite defensively, and another guy that's at least in tier 3, maybe high tier 3, almost tier 2 with Austin Reeves. So, Sam, I know I do this every year. I'm always worried about the Lakers, but that's probably the scariest team to me. Do you disagree?
I like the way they match up with the Lakers, but yeah, you got 2 guys who are like legitimate playoff performers. Like it's going to be worrisome. For me, it's in theory Dallas if they get AD.
Ooh, hot take.
Back. I just think I think they match up well with the Warriors. Like Kyrie's awesome. AD is a problem for Draymond and Steph in the 2-man game.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of defensive wings. I like the way they match up with the Warriors. I just don't know if we're going to get a healthy AD, to be honest with you. Like that's kind of where I'm at with it. Denver would be the other one for me, where I don't know if fear is the right word, but Jokic is the best player on planet Earth. And they've looked good except for last night. So I need to see more from them, but I don't love that matchup. What I am saying though is I love the way this team matches up with like OKC, Houston, and Memphis. And I want
Memphis for sure. Memphis for sure. I mean, I think that Memphis team is. I was really in on them in the beginning of the season, but the more you watch that team, the more I think things have gotten a little stale. I just John Morant kind of looks like oof. Is he not healthy, or is he struggling, or what's kind of the deal there?
They do kind of feel like a regular season team, right? Like where you're like they play smart ball, they have good strategy, they have good players, but what happens with them when you get to game 4 of a series? Do they have layers to what they do, or are they just a team that you don't want to play on Tuesday night because they're going to go balls to wall and beat you physically? So
you're really all in on the OKC take. I gotta hammer that a little bit. So this is a team, by the way, that has an all-time point differential. If you're into those things, offensively good. They have probably the MVP.
This is the problem with the NBA. That a team like that can have the all-time point differential when even if the Warriors don't touch them, I will put money they don't get out of the West. I will put money on the table. There are 4 teams I like more than them.
Wow.
4. Okay. Denver
Warriors,
will beat
Lakers.
them.
Yeah, Denver.
The Warriors will beat them. I'm going to take a healthy LeBron Luka team to beat them.
Yeah.
And I think a healthy Dallas team would beat them. Wow. I think AD is a nightmare for them too.
Yeah.
They can't shoot the ball.
No.
They play one-on-one basketball. They do defend. The defense will translate. Don't get me wrong. The defense will translate in the playoffs. I don't think they can generate offense. I don't think Shea next snap on every possession is going they don't move the ball. They have no shooting. They have nothing other than one-on-one plays. Sorry. It's not happening. It's not happening. I do love 10 of their players and I would take them all on my team. I just don't think they're going to do anything though.
I think there's a level that's either you don't believe in Shea as a championship number 1, or you don't believe Chet or Jalen Williams truly is I don't think either of them are having great years. Chet's been hurt, and Jalen Williams, I think, he's not been bad, but there's not been a noticeable leap. Hey, this guy, because you gotta remember when the Warriors won the championship, Clay had a leap up where it was all right, he's just gonna shoot 40% on volume from 3. Stop Jalen Williams, right?
Isn't Jalen Williams just a worse Shea where he can't play off ball?
Right.
Everything he does is get to the mid-range fading left. He's valid. I would love him on the Warriors, to be clear. He's very good, but it's does Shea's game make him better? No. Does he make Shea better? No. They're just it's one-on-one basketball. It reminds me of Westbrook and Harden together, where it's you guys don't actually make each other better in any capacity. The thing that we're deep in Forever Warrior nostalgia right now, but it's the thing that made that team so good was everyone's game actually brought more out of each other. Is Clay a superstar on another team? I'm not positive. Is Andre? Does his jersey get retired on another team? I'm not positive, but they're fucking good players. And when you mix them together, it brings out this unbeatable composition together. OKC feels like a collection of individuals who play good team defense. That's how they feel to me. They don't do anything offensively that they play together. Like, who can shoot on that team? What is going to happen when the Warriors start cheating off of Lou Dort and Caruso in the corner?
I mean, those guys are guys that might be unplayable. I think especially Alex Caruso. I've seen him in crunch time in some of these games, and he's on the floor, but I'm like, is he on the floor? What if I told you that the Lakers have one of the best defenses in the NBA?
I mean, are you talking about since they got Luka? Or
I'm talking about yes. I'm talking about since AD has not been on the team. I don't know, like Lakers guy fans are gonna hate me, but it's like
I know statistically they had one of the best defenses with AD, so I'm just trying to make sure I level set here. Okay, you're saying post
AD got hurt, and I think part of it is like they're kind of doing the thing where it's like the Warriors, where it's like you don't actually need a star center on defense to be good. And this gives us way more space on offense. Well, obviously, especially when you get Luka, but that's who they got. And that to me, I think is the scariest one. I keep going back to it. I keep going back to the Lakers. I've predicted this half jokingly, but I'm like seriously thinking about it. We might get a Warriors Lakers at some point in the postseason. If it's somehow the bracket works out, Sam, we might see them in the Western Conference Finals. Because when you look at it, those are the teams that have the defense. They have the versatility on defense. They have the players. I think the Lakers do. And then offensively, to your point about OKC, Memphis, these teams offensively that don't have it, the Lakers and Warriors do. Offensively, they're going to be able to score on teams in crunch time. They're going to be able to win a lot of these games in crunch time now, especially with the Warriors with Jimmy.
Yeah, I was never worried about the LeBron Luka figuring out offense. I'm like, dude, they're too smart. It might look gross for 20 games as they like fuck around and figure it out, but like they're going to be fine with that regard. And then they're going to have that team where one of those guys is on the court every second, and that's a nightmare. Yeah. By the way, I'm looking at the numbers coming into this game. The Warriors are plus 12, plus 11.4 when Steph's on the floor, and plus 12.8 when he's off of it in the Jimmy era. Wow. Which is like, and tonight was another example of that. They went plus 14 with Steph and plus 10 without Steph. And it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, we got a dude we can run the offense through without him. That's hard to beat. That's really hard to beat when you get no breaks. When you get no breaks in the game to be like, this is where we're going to make a run because Steph has to sit for 4 minutes. We're going to make a run type of thing. And the Lakers, sadly, have that because they can stagger Luka and LeBron, and that's a fucking nightmare. At all times, you're dealing with a monster.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing for me. And last night I was thinking about this. I was like tweeting about it because I was like, well, Steph and LeBron are kind of like this. They're the old guys, right? And then you've got Luka and Jimmy's 35, but it's kind of the same. But it's kind of the same idea where it's like, dude, you're always going to be you're always going to have to guard one of these guys. I saw Quint Post today go off in the second quarter, and yeah, he can shoot and he can dunk, but a lot of that is Jimmy creating, and a lot of that is you got to either guard a Steph Curry led offense, or you got to guard a Jimmy Butler led offense for 48 straight minutes. And that's the thing that the Lakers have going on. And the Lakers have found a way to play enough defense, and the Warriors for sure have enough defense with Draymond back there. So that's kind of the point. And like you go back to the rest of these teams in the West, like Memphis, like Houston. I mean, even the same, I don't believe in Dallas. I think the way that you believe in Dallas, but like they just don't have that. They don't have the firepower there. And then I think Denver's a different story. They can't play defense. Team of guys that can't play defense, so it's a little different to me.
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because I think Jokic is that good. But like I agree with you. Like last night's game was concerning.
Jokic gets a lot of benefit of the doubt, by the way. Got a lot of benefit of that. He's just won one championship.
He's fucking good, dude. He's fucking
good. But let's saw them choke a 20-point lead against Naz Reid last postseason. So
Naz Reid would be nice on the Warriors, by the way.
No, man.
Naz Reid Quentin Post combo.
Yeah. We didn't even get to talk about Quinn Post. We will, but Jesus, man, this team is unbelievable. The Warriors they've got a team full of guys that are now that they've got pushed down wrong. Like I know we talked about Paz and Moody a lot tonight, but I just watched Guy Santos fly out there. GB2 is now making threes all of a sudden. I guess that's a thing now again. Quinn Post looks incredible. Buddy Hield is making some shots. They don't have to have him play 30 minutes, so the vibes are great.
Yeah,
the vibes are great.
Yeah. All right, appreciate everyone. You got out of here. Go enjoy your families. Have a great Sunday. The Warriors are back.
Love that.